Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Orcas in Action podcast. I'm Kevin McMenamin, your host, and with me is my partner in organized retail crime, Jack Britton. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, everyone. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, and today we are with Allen Vanscoy, who's the section chief for the National Leads Development Center for Homeland Security Investigations. How you doing today, Allen?
Hey, great, guys. It's great to be here, and it's great to have an opportunity to talk about the new center and some of the great things the team's working on.
Yeah, we're really excited to hear more about this because this isn't exactly a new thing as far as the process that you've had. You've had a Leads Development Center, but you're kind of in a new facility now, and we've got some new things to talk about, right?
Yeah, so we've been around for about 4 years in one iteration or another. We've shared some space with our bulk cash smuggling center. So the team's not new to Vermont, but the center's new and the mission set is new. So it's great.
Allen, for those that don't know, could you tell us a little bit more about what HSI is all about, and then tell us a little bit more about what your center's all about?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, we're the investigative arm, or one of the investigative arms of the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. We have a large umbrella, so over 200 crimes. We're involved in money laundering. We're involved in narcotics trafficking. We investigate child pornography. We investigate trade-based money schemes. We investigate human smuggling, human trafficking, international domestic gangs. So large umbrella, pretty varied. And here at the center, we were developed to be a lead intake and development center. We do criminal cases. So we take in allegations from state, local, federal counterparts, law enforcement agencies, foreign-based law enforcement agencies, and then most recently the private sector. So the center takes in that information, we deconflict it, we build it out into a high quality criminal investigation through using a number of different law enforcement techniques, and then we get that case to the place around the country that has the best venue, a place that hopefully has a receptive climate to organize theft groups and organized retail crime. And then we continue to support that case all the way through investigation and prosecution. So it's not a flip it and forget it. We take in the leads from, as an example, loss prevention officer, and then we make it the best case we can. We advocate for it. We get it down to a local investigator, and then we just continue to provide whatever support it needs all the way through. We do financial investigations, forensic auditing. We're doing open source analytics. So whatever we can do to get that case put together and out.
Now, how do you guys collaborate with law enforcement and I know you're collaborating with retail loss prevention, right?
Yeah, so when we established the new center, well, I'll back up a bit. So HSI was contacted a while back, and we realized early on that that organized theft groups, organized retail crime, cargo theft was a huge item for the private sector. So the agency as a whole put together Operation Boiling Point, which was going to be our umbrella case. We go out, we talk to the private sector, we'd come up with ways that we could attack this. We'd develop leads. And as part of Operation Boiling Point, the lead intake center here became sort of like the operational arm of Operation Boiling Point. So while our folks are out talking to retail groups, while they're talking at trade conferences, they're getting the word out about what we can do, what our capabilities are. And then here, back in Vermont, my folks are taking all that information, and we're trying to develop it into high quality criminal packets that we can advocate and get out to our field offices for further investigation.
What kind of trends are you seeing, Allen, in the cases that you're working on today? I know you had a little bit different focus, and as you said, you kind of have had more focus now on ORC, on cargo theft. What are some of the trends and the crimes that you're seeing, and is there any particular area that you're seeing them?
Yeah, so my group in general does a lot of things. So they do international gangs, they do Interpol notices, they do fraud against government, payroll protection fraud, uninsurance employment fraud. We just, again, most recently started to do OTG and ORC and cargo theft. And as we reach out and make contact with regional intel centers, state fusion centers to get that information, to reach out to loss prevention officers and intake that information, we're trying to establish and heat map, put groups together. You know, is the group that's hitting California, the boosters, the folks that are selling on eBay, are they the same folks that are operating in Florida? Are they the same folks that are operating in New York, the East Coast? So what we've seen is that this is sort of an equal opportunity crime. We're getting a lot of folks coming from overseas. We're seeing a lot of activity from Eastern European groups. We're seeing a lot of activity from South American theft groups. We're seeing Chinese groups coming in from Asia, and then we have all the homegrown stuff. So there's just a wide range of organized criminal activity when it comes to this area.
So Allen, you call yourselves the National Lead Development Center. So where do those leads come from? How do you develop those leads?
Yeah, so we're not a tip line. We take leads from law enforcement. We take leads from foreign law enforcement, state, locals, our federal counterparts. And then most recently, we're starting to take leads from the private sector and specifically mostly loss prevention folks. So we have inboxes that different agencies and different groups send us these leads. We take them in, we analyze them, we try to vet out, you know, which leads are maybe already being investigated by one group or another. So there's a deconfliction component. And then there's the whole build out component. So we're using a wide variety of tools, similar tools that other law enforcement agencies are using in accordance with privacy and some other, you know, accepted investigative techniques. But as a centralized location, we're able to bring all that information together and really concentrate on that information as a holistic package. So then we wash it, we vet it, we build it out. We're doing financial analysis, we're doing lead development, and then we're taking a look around the country on what locations have venue for these particular cases, and then sort of doing an analysis of, you know, out of those locations that currently have a venue, which ones are receptive to these kinds of investigations, and then we'll send that through our established lead forwarding process to a local HSI RAC office or SAC office, and then get that accepted by a U.S. attorney. And then, you know, we don't just send it and flip it. We continue to support that investigation all the way through the process.
So you have boots on the ground supporting these cases in the different jurisdictions?
Yeah, we're all around the country. We're in 93 overseas locations with 56 foreign offices, or 56 countries, 93 foreign offices. And then domestically, you know, several offices in most states. Large offices are HSI SAC offices. So we have a lot of folks on the ground to take these leads in and then push them forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the foreign aspect, because I was going to ask that question, because you know, you mentioned a lot of the groups that are coming in, right? The Chinese groups and the Eastern European groups and so forth coming in. But as we know, there's a lot of the merchandise and the money in particular that's going out, right? So how you're well networked in these other countries?
You know, we're very well networked. We have pre-existing relationships with a lot of host countries and foreign-based law enforcement agencies. And to date, we've been able to leverage that to identify a lot of the Eastern European groups. So, you know, we're trying to help state and local law enforcement agencies as well. So if one of them reaches out to us and they say, hey, listen, we have a Romanian-based criminal organization, and we have photographs and we have biometric data on these folks. We've had a lot of luck in being able to determine true identities, who those folks are, coordinate with foreign law enforcement, and we're definitely making some inroads. I just want to say, you know, we've only really been doing organized retail theft for about 6 months. So like anything, it takes a little time to establish relationships. You know, those relationships with the regional intel centers and the fusion centers on the state, letting local law enforcement agencies know that this is an HSI priority, and giving them and avenues for them to give us the data and to support them takes time. So a lot of our investigations are in the early stages. You know, I think we've been able to leverage a lot of our resources to make one-time arrests. So there has been a number of occasions where a state and local law enforcement agency has reached out to us, and we've been able to give them who the true identity of that person was. A lot of them, you know, this isn't the first time that they've been involved in boosting or a quick change scheme or some kind of smash and grab theft. So a number of them had pre-existing arrest warrants from other states, other jurisdictions. So we've been able to hook those folks up and get that person arrested.
Allen, we realize that you've just recently intensified your focus in this particular area. What led to that decision, and where do you see this going moving forward?
Yeah, so I think our folks that were leading Operation Boiling Point recognized that the center had a lot of tools that they could bring to bear on this. So I think it was a good carryover. You know, we were already doing gangs and some international investigations, so it was a good dovetail in. You know, we're trying to vet now who, you know, is there gang activity, you know, which groups are involved in this, make those connections. So I think it was a good flow for us. And you know, where we're going forward is we're going to continue to build collaborative working relationships with the private sector. We're going to continue to build out our relationships with fusion centers to make us sort of that central point in the wheel, the spoke, that all this information can flow to us. And I think if we can do that successfully, which I have a pretty strong suspicion we can, then I think we can really build out high quality criminal investigations. You know, we can link local investigators, we can link our international, our foreign offices, or our local offices, and really bring some weight to bear on these criminal organizations. You know, I think we're very well situated to identify where the merchandise is going, if it's going overseas. You know, we're already doing, HSI is already doing inbound and outbound inspections. You know, I think there's some technology we could potentially be leveraging around like RFID. You know, can we be scanning inbound and outbound packages for known frequencies for different merchandise? We're already following money. I mean, that's one of the things HSI does. We're very good at tracking international money, putting together money investigations. So I think, you know, just taking those tools that we have as an agency and applying them specifically to ORC.
Excellent. So, Allen, tell me, you know, if I'm a loss prevention person in the field, I've got a case that I'm working on that I know has, you know, some outreach to it, that I want to reach out to someone like you to find out, you know, resources that might be available to me. How do I get in touch with you? What's that process for the retail loss prevention folks? I mean, sure, I'm going to reach out to my local detective, type of thing, but how do we get your resources involved?
Yeah, so we've set up some inboxes specifically for the loss prevention guys. We have OTG case support NLDC at hsi.dhs.gov. We monitor that all the time. If they send us a packet, we're going to go ahead, we're going to reach out to them, we're going to open those lines of communications, we're going to start working up that packet. Our criminal analysts are going to take a look to see, is it being investigated already? You know, is there someplace around the country that currently has it? And if not, you know, how can we make that into a high quality packet and get that to a field office?
Excellent.
So can you give us that email address one more time?
OTG case support NLDC at hsi.dhs.gov.
Right.
Excellent. Well, we really appreciate your time today and learning a little bit more about the National Lead Development Center. Very exciting that not only with what you're doing, but to see that HSI is putting in the resources in place into this center, into its regional offices across the U.S. and internationally to help support this effort, because organized retail crime, as I'm sure your group has certainly become aware over the last couple of years, really is a growing problem in the retail community. So we appreciate all of your efforts and all of your support. Thanks so much for all that you guys do.
And thanks for having us.
All right. Well, this has been the Orcas in Action podcast. I'm Kevin McMenamin, your host. I'm with Jack Britton. We've been with Allen Vanscoy, who is the section chief for the National Leads Development Center with Homeland Security Investigations, HSI. So we appreciate your time today, Allen, and we look forward to hearing about all those great cases that are going to be getting resolved thanks to you and your team.
Thanks. We'll have to keep you posted.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, everyone.